Today's story is not about the ground but about the sky. Also, at an altitude of 15,000 feet. How an FBI agent gets involved in a plane crash with a mafia member, and something happens on board that no one could have imagined. A man named Winston, who sits silently, is currently not at home but in Antarctica. He is in a remote area where it's very hard for an ordinary person to reach. But you've surely heard the saying that the reach of the law is very long, which has reached here and troubled him. What makes Winston special? He appears honest. In fact, friends, a billionaire family exists in America. Their members have shares in big companies, but among these shares, they have been involved in some illicit activities for years. In these activities, Winston assists them so that they can clean all their black money, turning it into white money. They will be seen as completely legitimate worldwide, despite governmental awareness, since the family's power prevents any witness from challenging them. If you were not willing to testify, but now when Winston is in trouble, he has agreed to testify against them because he knows everything. In reality, their actions compel the government to grant him full protection and freedom. Now, Madeline, a former FBI officer. She first thinks for a while, then talks to her senior about it. They approve and say that Winston is scheduled to depart for New York tomorrow. We will arrange a private plane for this. Now it's morning, and we see their plane parked, which will go to New York. But will they actually reach there or not? Well, time will tell. For now, we watch Winston. He was chained up so he wouldn't run away. After a while, Daryl, the plane's pilot, arrives. He got scared upon seeing Winston and asks Madeline if he is a terrorist. She said no, it's nothing like that, he's just one of our guys who is scheduled in the code tomorrow. Meanwhile, Madeline noticed the pilot's injury between his ears and explained it occurred while he was shaving that morning. He was cut by the blade. Now the plane is taking off, everything was going quite smoothly. The pilot explains that he is flying the plane from below to maintain higher speed, so that he can reach from water to water code. He's afraid of the terrorist sitting behind, so Madeline says there's nothing to fear, nothing as you think. Meanwhile, they discovered there was no GPS in the plane, which was strange, but the pilot dismissed it and changed the subject. Madeline becomes confused until a bird suddenly flies into their plane and crashes, startling her and creating a jolt that reaches Winston sitting in the back. A pipe fell, and this pipe contains information about the pilot named Daryl Puth, but the photo there doesn't match the current pilot at all. Winston quickly understands what's happening. After all, why is there no GP in this plane, the docile whose family he is about to testify against? This pilot is his man, and his entire scheme is well thought out, whose first target was the real pilot, and now perhaps these two will be as well. Upon the plane reaching New York, a family is destroyed. He won't allow it, but what will Winston do? How? Because it's not on the ground right now but in the air at thousands of feet. Its first job is to let Madeline know about this in any way possible. But he can't call her by making any noise, so he gestures to her, causing her to turn back, but she doesn't understand him. Then the pilot also turns back. During this, Madeline sees some bloodstains on his sleeve and realizes that something is definitely wrong. She also noticed that he's flying like a rookie. Rather, he should have been a professional pilot. After finding out the whole story, Madeline draws her gun. But before she can attack him in any way, Daryl attacks him, causing his gun to drop. Then he beats him badly, which causes Madeline to come to her senses. Seeing all this, Winston starts to panic and sits back. But he is more afraid of the fact that if he reaches that family, they would kill him terribly, more than fearing his own death. Thinking about this whole story, he gives Daryl an offer. He will give him more money than them, just kill him, and then he will always stay hidden. By doing this, he can earn money from both sides, and you can say to them, "You killed me." But Daryl knew that he was saying all this just to deceive. Therefore, he doesn't listen, forgetting Madeline has regained her senses. She soon revived him and regained consciousness. Then she tries to save Winston's pride, but after so long, Daryl attacks her again, and this time he falls on the plane's handles. He fell, starting to descend rapidly, but in the meantime she was continuously yelling at him, until finally he regained consciousness again. And then Madeline straightens the plane again and turns on the autopilot, but now she first has to locate her fallen gun below, but it's not visible anywhere. What should Madeline do alone? So she also freed Winston, but his hands are still bound so that they don't attack her. Now when these people check Daryl's pocket, they find something startling. Actually, Daryl had been tracking them for several months and knew everything about these people. Where the people live, where their families are, or even he had a picture of Winston's mother. And seeing this, he panicked because if he testified, those people would kill his mother. But Madeline assures him that this won't happen. First, they needed to seek someone's help because neither of them knew how to fly a plane, so she connected to the airline company via radio and explained their entire situation. Until she could answer them, the connection was lost. Then Madeline remembered that she also had a satellite phone, with which she calls her senior. She tells him everything that has happened to them here. And she arranges for her conversation with a trained pilot, who could land her safely. Now their biggest problem was that they didn't even know where they were currently flying, what location they were flying in. Because the plane doesn't even have GPS. In the end, Madeline asks her peer to go to Winston's house so he can protect her mother. During this, Madeline asks him how he found out that they were going on this plane. He said he knows everything, even Winston's home address. Upon hearing this, Miss Tan says that I only told you guys that address, then how did you find out? So Madeline's mind starts racing. Surely someone in their department must have told that family everything. But only her senior Carolina and her managing hit knew about this. The pilot with whom Madeline was connected told her the correct location, causing them to head towards New York. Daryl, who was stuck behind, didn't like this. He tells her bluntly that she would need his help, and without it, she can't fly the plane. At that moment, his gaze shifts to the wheel under the seat, but he was still far away. So Carolina tells Madeline that the fake pilot brutally killed the real pilot at his home, which prevented him from reaching the airport. Now, slowly, Madeline begins to suspect how dangerous he is. Everything was going fine here when they suddenly encounter thick fog. Taking advantage of this, Daryl starts to provoke Madeline, saying she won't survive because she doesn't even know how to fly a plane. So what did Madeline do? She called off the pilot and took command of the plane herself. But when the fog thickened, a freezing veil appeared in front of them. They became extremely scared as no one could prevent their plane from crashing. But at a critical moment, he pulled the handle up, freeing it from ice and saving the people. But because of this, the knife that was under the seat slipped and moved towards Daryl. Now he just has to somehow free his hand, for which he will take advantage of Madeline's weakness. During his research on him, he discovered that on the last mission, he couldn't save his witness's life. And for this, he was also suspended for several days. Upon hearing this, Madeline was furious, and Winston began to doubt her capabilities, wondering if she was trustworthy. Frustrated, she tried to accept him, but Daryl remained unstable. He called him weak, cowardly, a traitor, further agitating her upon hearing it. Which makes him come back, and this time he beat him severely. Daryl cleverly took out his gun and hid it in his hands. Now, with his help, he will unlock the cuffs on his hands, exactly what he wanted. He got angry, and his freedom returned quickly. From now on, tell Madeline about Winston Keyes, who must be informed. He was taking the girl away, also for her. She was crucial because she intended to testify against her mafia boyfriend. I protected her in every way, but one of her requests ruined everything. She needed to bathe, which I agreed to, but her boyfriend added a special chemical to the water, so she only bathed a few times. Since the day they burned him to death until today, I've felt responsible for his death and was removed from my post. But I won't let anything like that happen to you. After that, she calls Carolina again and tells her that she should start the investigation by talking to Hat to find out who exactly is in that mafia family. But for now, she refuses what he says. Now Madeline starts to suspect her, but it's not the right time to discuss this matter. Here, people were engrossed in conversations, while back there Dare continuously tried cutting the fabric strap with glasses. Now, where? The end of the story is near, perhaps for both of them. The sequence continues. Though tensions remained, Daryl quietly completed his work. Similarly, suddenly Madeline had the idea that she should call her head herself. She should inform that whoever is a spy among them is actually no one but Caroline herself. Hearing this, Hat said, "All right, I'll watch her while you all come quickly." After this, Madeline realized that it was actually Weston who was moving the family's money around. So he must know who from the family's base side is actually in touch with them. He says that he doesn't know anything about that, but yes, I always went to the address named Red Cross to donate money. Now upon hearing this, Madeline understands everything, realizing who was actually in their department. In fact, it was her managing head, Friends. She calls Ver and Caroline to apologize for unjustly suspecting her, who was actually the managing head. Meanwhile, she was astonished when a broken ship appeared suddenly before her, realizing they were half an hour away from runway in New York. Out of nowhere, Daniel attacks her from behind after stabbing Weston multiple times and then targeting Madeline's neck. He began to press her again over the same spot, during which he kept saying to her, "I will never let you reach New York, no matter how hard you try." But Winston was not the type to give up so easily. He showed courage and pulled the knife out of his body. Then he cut the strap, after which a skirmish broke out between Madeline and Daryl. In the end, Madeline manages to knock him out, and after that, he applied pressure to Winston's injured wounds. With time short as Winston's condition worsens from continuous bleeding, he connected to his pilot and said he was increasing speed. He told his pilot he was increasing speed, but fuel would deplete quickly as a result. But still, he will have to take this risk, because if he doesn't, Winston will be killed. In this difficult time, he tells him that if he survives, he will testify. Upon hearing his plea, "If anything happens to me, ensure my mother is safe," Madeline removed his handcuffs to help her. Has complete trust in him. To find out what is happening below, she called Carrie. But his head took the call, saying that we caught Aerolunia red-handed while betraying. But he attacked, so we had to accept it as self-defense. Now upon hearing this, Maddalena gets completely shocked, because she knew that the deputy did this intentionally so that all the blame would fall on Carolina. No one informed her, but Maddalena disclosed everything. When she comes downstairs, she always uncovers secrets and exposes the facts. Halagi Head threatens that if he does that, he'll lose his life like Carolina. But he's fearless. Shortly after, they saw the runway shifting to their side. A fighter jet was present, so if the plane veered toward city, they'd shoot it down. Meanwhile, Winston kept repeating words from behind. That he doesn't know how to fly a plane, but he does. "If they let me, I will ensure they land safely." Hearing him say this repeatedly, Madeline became very angry. He shot several times at her leg, causing her to stay silent for a moment. Suddenly, the sound of sirens started, indicating that the fuel had run out. They needed to land using motion. Runveer had bowls and firefighters ready. Soon, their plane was landing at increased speed. A sudden jolt made control extremely difficult, breaking the rear gate. Diesel spilled outside, and the compressor went out of control. But Madoli managed to land the plane safely by any means necessary. Now, Winston's condition was very bad, so he was immediately admitted. Here, we also see that Pallet is still helping him. Then a police officer entered the same ambulance Winston was in. But friends, this time Madeline noticed him and went inside without delay. She shot him and revealed Hat's truth in front of the whole world. Now no one can save that mafia family. Every possible way was tried to stop Madeline, but only bravery and truth prevailed in the end. Please comment on how you liked the story. See you in the video. Thank you.